NIO did a correction to their guidance for the first quarter deliveries in 2024. And I was right, I was wrong. What the heck are you doing, NIO? Jokes aside, though, let's break this down a little bit. So when I say I was right, and I'm kind of half joking about this, 2 weeks ago, I did this video and I asked the question, will NIO miss their first quarter guidance? Now, I want to actually go back in time. There are 70 of these videos that I've done where I've been tracking and talking about the insurance registration numbers for NIO. And this data does not come from NIO. It's important to note that. And I often talk about that. So with me and in my mind, in my view, my lens, my thinking is I just like to see bigger picture patterns that emerge. For example, after doing 70 of these videos dating back to, I think, the end of 2022 is when I started them, I've noticed that typically NIO at the end of a month, the last week of a month, seems to have their best insurance registration data. Okay. So now let's go back to this a couple weeks ago video where I was kind of asking the question, will NIO miss the first quarter guidance? Now, this most recent video, I kind of changed my tune. I said, okay, it looks like they could be all right. And this is why. If we go back here, this is the best number that NIO's had recently, 3,600 for the insurance registrations. And this aligns with one of the things that I've noticed, and that is the end of the month, the last week, roughly, NIO has their best numbers. This was a carryover the end of February and the beginning of March. So it was a combination. They had kind of both months covered there a little bit, but this is the best number compared to these others that we've seen. The problem is, of course, I didn't have the specific breakdown. So we're kind of guessing at that point. And I didn't know if the majority had been, let's say, reported with the monthly deliveries by NIO in February, then that would mean a smaller number in March. I didn't know that. We still don't know that. And so then we get about 2,000 in the next week, another 2,200 the following week. That's when I said, okay, is NIO going to miss their guidance? You know, this is a question that I have. I'm just wondering about this. But then this most recent week, and if you note the dates here, March 18th through the 24th, what this means is we've got an entire week after this, and it's the last week of the month for NIO, which typically is when they do bigger, better numbers like this number represents here. Now, the most they've ever done is about 5,700, I think. They've done 5,500 a couple times. You know, I figured that was probably unlikely based on the most recent trend with the numbers. But I said, you know what? A 4,000 number looks doable. So with that in mind, yeah, it looks like they're going to come in with guidance. And then naturally the next morning, NIO announces they're not going to get their guidance. And they come out with this release where they, and this was strange how they did this. So I want to make this point because this was just, I don't know about this piece of it. This is where I'm kind of questioning, like, what the heck are you doing, NIO? At the beginning of March is when NIO came out with their guidance and shared 31 to 33,000 for their guidance range for this first quarter of 2024. And my thinking is really simple. Why not just do 30 to 32,000? And then as they now have adjusted down, not that much, frankly, to 30,000, you would have already been in line within that range. So it's fair to ask a question, what the heck is going on with this? And behind the scenes, and shorts, of course, will say there are no sales. You know, the bulls will say, well, if NIO has 40% or better of the premium battery electric vehicle market, I guess, you know, shorts don't know what they're talking about. Look, you can create a narrative whatever way you want, but I actually want to offer something a little unique, a little different. And shout out to Big A, who has kind of kept me in the loop on this. Every once in a while, he'll show up in the comments section, and he's in Europe and has kind of indirect, you know, access to some of the things like supply chain orders for NIO. And a few weeks ago, when NIO was only, you know, showing about 2,000, 2,200 on the numbers, he said it looked like they were getting orders for, you know, on the supply chain side, about 7,000. And now in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, NIO is testing. They've got sub brands that they're testing, a couple of them. I don't even know how many different models they're testing right now with the 2 different sub brands that will be coming out. And then, of course, ET9 will also be coming out in 2025. So there's still a lot left to sort of be released even within this year of 2024. So, but I was also curious. I thought, well, you know, maybe we'll see an uptick on these weekly numbers and it'll be reflected. And then we'll get maybe a surprise in the March delivery number or even April. And then, of course, if we go bigger picture, so this is just in my mind, right? I just wanted to share that. And we'll see what happens with the numbers. But in quarter 2, of 2023, that was the weak quarter for NIO on the delivery side, because that was when they did the refreshes on the vehicles. In this year of 2024, they did the refreshes in the first quarter. So even if NIO only comes in, let's say, with a 30,000 number for the first quarter deliveries of 2024, versus a relative to the 31,000 number from last year, even though they appear to be trailing a little bit, that second quarter is where they can really make up some ground with the main brand, the premium brand of NIO, which is, I think last year they only had about 25,000. And so again, let's keep tracking this. I'll obviously keep doing it. I've done 70 of those, weekly videos already. So even when I'm flip-flopping, even when NIO might not even know what the heck they're doing, sometimes we'll keep tracking everything that we can, and I'll share here on the channel. But I wanted to offer that, and it's interesting. I think I did look at a few different videos from a few different NIO content creators, and I think there's a almost a psychological warfare that's gone on with this, just the deluge, the ongoing beatdown of the stock price for NIO over these last years. And I think there's some frustration coming out from people with respect to that. But that's also why a part of what I'm doing now is continuing to dig, and I'll continue to share more videos on things like naked shorting and how some of that appears to be happening. Possibly, I think it's likely that it's never happened to the levels, to the degree that it is now. There are reasons for that. But this is not a new thing. It's just, I think, more prevalent and a lot easier, especially for the big firms, as they see, and some of them are able to access retail investors' data. So they see what retail investors are doing. And gosh, that sure seems like an advantage to make some easy money off of folks. That's just my logical sort of conclusion from that. But anyway, I'll be back with more content. I want to get this thing up and out. So have a great day, and we'll see y'all again very soon.